Greetings everyone and welcome to my inevitable reaction video to An Experiment 2, which is the latest entry in the Madness Combat series of cartoons created by the one and only Mr. Crinkles. Speaking of Mr. Crinkles, before you watch this video you should definitely watch the original cartoon, which will be linked in the description below. There will be a Newgrounds link and a YouTube link, so make sure you watch the original cartoon and support the original creators, okay? This video is not a supplement or a replacement for the original video. However, I will be commentating over it and I guess analyzing it and doing a little bit of live theory crafting. We're going to do a bit of a reaction to start with, and then I'll go back through and do a bit of theory crafting and do my best to explain what I personally think happens in this episode. And I'm going to let you know right now, folks, I think this is one of the more clear-cut episodes that we've had, but we'll save the explanation for later. Let's go ahead and start watching. We're watching this on Newgrounds because I'm pedantic. Dissonance occurrence detected. I'm sure there's some explanation for that sentence. Objective investigate. So the first thing I want to point out, I know I'm already pausing the video, but the first thing I want to point out is that Sanford throwing up his middle finger image, that is the exact same image as the little note that Hank has in Project Nexus Classic before he goes and rescues Sanford and Demos from an agency jail. So all of you who played that game back in the day, you probably remember in the first level, Hank blows open one of the agency bases with a rocket launcher, and he has this note kind of ordering him what to do. That's going to be very important to this cartoon, so keep that in mind. We've got our boys, we've got everybody's favorite homosexual couple. Also today I'm drinking Mountain Dew Baja Blast, in case you were wondering. I also love that they bother to open the door even though the wall is gone. I love that kind of smear frame on Sanford's fist there before he hits the button. That adds a lot of impact. These guys, the pirates. I got no major theories on these guys. A lot of my theories are going to be talking about the timeline, but I'll try to talk about these guys eventually. They don't like violence. Look, they're just little guys. They're just kind of floating around. They don't want to hurt anybody. I love the agency jam sandwich. Such a great idea. Also, the soundtrack is always baller. Vadoohickey! There's a poster in this room that's very important. We'll talk about it. Yeah, even Sanford's like, what does this thing do? Why is it here? It's like, I don't really know how to describe it. I gotta say, I really like this guy's arm, and that he kind of has to prime it up before he punches. If I had to guess, this guy is maybe a way to improve upon the half mag punch. If you guys remember Project Nexus, the half mag enemies, they kind of do that zip punch. I'm thinking maybe this guy has something like that going on. Relax, buddy. You're not supposed to kill him. You're supposed to capture him. You really fucked up his face. Put him in this machine that doesn't look familiar at all. We've not seen that in any other cartoons. It's totally new. Promise. It was in Madness 9. You didn't have to saw that guy's head off. You could have just stabbed him. Also, we love to see soldats actually being competent. Oh no, the poor guy. He's dead. Demo's really walking in there without having procured any weapons. Just walked up those stairs with only his hands. Like, buddy, there was like a knife on the ground or something. Speaking of Demos being a dumbass, he's about to get his shit rocked. So Sanford, to be fair. They both kind of get their asses kicked. And he got jumped by a bunch of soldats. What is there to be done? A bunch of text on the monitor. What could have crawled out of there? Alright, that was Experiment 2. I mean, as always, just fantastic animation from Crinkles here. I mean, as always, he delivers every time. Do you really need to sit here and listen to me glaze Crinkles for another few minutes? You know that this guy is awesome. So, without further ado, let's get into some lore stuff. So, you probably mentioned... I can speak. You probably noticed... I mean, of course you noticed. I told it to you. Early on, I talked about the Sanford, giving middle finger. Project Nexus Classic parallel. It's not a parallel. I think it's a direct connection. I think, all in all, my overarching theory is that this episode is a prequel to the very first level of Madness Project Nexus Classic. If you haven't seen that game, I'm sure there's a playthrough on YouTube somewhere. Watch Revo Kane's old Nexus Classic Arena playthrough. I used to love that one when I was a kid. But anyway, I think this directly ties into the first level of Nexus Classic, which I think, overall timeline-wise, places Nexus Classic... not Nexus Classic, Experiment 2, just in that sort of ethereal space where Project Nexus goes, just kind of between Madness 4 and Madness 5. when, like, if you've watched my lore videos, you know that I generally insinuate that in regards to the Madness timeline, I think that Project Nexus goes betwixt 4 and 5, and I can't wait for the day that I am gloriously wrong about that, when Swain and Crinkles inevitably reveal their own Madness timeline, and then, I don't know, I go fuck off and walk into the ocean or something. But anyway, that hasn't happened yet, so you still gotta deal with me. We're going to skip forward a little bit to another lore significant moment. Actually, I did want to talk about Sanford's orders here. So he's meant to be looking for the mag chamber, survived improbability fracture. As for what the improbability fracture is, I'm thinking that's when Scrapeface, in the first experiment, kind of fucking exploded and died. But who knows? I'm definitely thinking that's the connection here. But yeah, locate, calibrate, donate, locate the guy, calibrate him. I'm guessing calibrate is a nice word for soften him up but don't kill him. And donate is get him to me. They're looking for this scientist guy with the metal arm that we saw earlier. And we'll talk about him. But for now, we'll go frame by frame here. Infiltrate, conduct, that's calibrate. Escape more antagonism than usual, be careful. So basically Doc is saying, hey, there's a wider agency presence here, you better be careful. Unmistakable target, you'll know him when you see him. He's talking about the scientist. I'm also just kind of assuming you know who Doc is. If you don't, go watch Dissenter and then come back. He's the leader of SQ. He's the one ordering Sanford and Demos around here. But anyway, nothing super important happens leading up to this. We'll just kind of speed along through the pirates. I'm going to talk about the pirates. These guys, we'll lower the volume down here a bit just so you have something to kind of look at while I talk. In regards to the pirates here, I think these guys might be successful variants of whatever Scrapeface went through, because they do kind of have like a similar glitchy effect and kind of like floaty weird physics that like Scrapeface did. So like maybe these guys are a success, but they're also like really fearful. They don't like violence. They never attack anybody. They cower and hide in fear. And also they live in cardboard world. I don't know if you noticed, but all the objects around these guys is made out of cardboard. It's all fake. That's like a drawn-on vending machine. All these computers and speakers are fake. My favorite of this entire area. Come on, pan the camera over a little bit. Damn it. Hold on. I think you see it like right in the fade in. There's like a little house here and like the sun. And it's like a child's drawing of like a house and like a happy sun. It's adorable. I don't know what these guys do or what their purpose in this facility is. But I think overall they are the subjects of whatever experiment is being conducted here. There's also like a poster somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is. It might be in the next room. Do not touch doors. Your hands are dirty. And yes, they're not supposed to talk to them. Restricted. No discussion with pirates. Don't talk to the pirates. There's a poster of Hank. Talk about Hank in a bit. Okay, we're gonna talk about Hank. Don't you fucking worry, buddy. But I don't know. I don't know exactly where it is in the cartoon, but there's a poster that's just like, I think it's called like it's called Stay Put and Feed Them Paper. So like they're just feeding these guys paper and assumedly cardboard, and that's their life. That's all they do. Sorry, like it's just hitting me how fucking absurd the pirates are. I love these guys, and he gets all glitchy like Scrapeface did. Maybe there's a connection there. Who fucking knows? I don't really know what to say about the pirates, honestly. But yes, this cycle shows tremendous promise. I don't know what that means, but in Doc's lab later in the cartoon, if we can just kind of skip to it, he has some papers on the wall that mention cycles, I think. Yeah, cycle 15%, cycle 2, 17%, cycle 3, 50%. So, like, there's a mention of cycles in this cartoon. I don't know what they refer to. If you guys have any theories about whatever the cycles are, feel free to leave a comment down below. But anyway, where was I? What else did I want to talk about? Oh yes, the poster in this room. Notice Hank's presence persists throughout the occurrence like a thread, or maybe threat, but I'm going to say thread. Stay vigilant. What the fuck does that mean, right? Why is Hank getting name dropped in the Sanford and Demos cartoon? So if you guys probably noticed. So like when Sanford and Demos, we'll talk about that poster, but I need to do some setup first. So when Sanford and Demos are fighting this guy, Metal Arm Man, Mr. Metal Gear Solid over here, Demos beats the shit out of him, and then Sanford throws him in here. It's very difficult to read. Actually, let's get that bitch in 4K. All right, I want that to be as high quality as possible. CMD RESSR C swap. The word there, swap, very important. Because I'll just say what I think happens. I think this scientist guy, while I don't think it was Doc's intent for this to happen, I think he always intended to swap this scientist guy out with something or somebody. But because Sanford and Demos get captured later in the cartoon, Mr. Scientist guy gets swapped out with Hank. And then we get a Hank in this cartoon. So that ties into like the event and like the whole ending sequence with all the guys getting killed. Hank definitely shows up in this cartoon, but let's continue a little bit here. Let's keep reading that. Yeah, activated, locating, convergence, question mark. I don't know what those last two words are. There's unfortunately too much blood. But what I think is like Sanford put in a command on this terminal here to swap this guy out, basically delivering him to Doc, assumedly. That is what's happening. So we'll go ahead a little bit. Yeah, and actually the screen changes a bit. If I could go back. Third party detected, control assumed, binding. I'm assuming this is Doc hacking this, taking it over, something of the sort. I also just realized this sword got put in the ceiling. That's kind of funny. And we'll skip right along ahead here. So Sanford, Demos get captured. What a couple of idiots, right? This monitor I didn't want to talk about. Crossroad incident detected, engaging Revenant protocol, site vector X2Y swap. So there's that word again, swap. Lane divergence detected, reestablishing a current G2 Hank set primary. This, I think, is the code, the prime code. If you don't know what prime code is, go watch my Project Nexus lore video. But I think this is prime code, basically saying that Doc is swapping out Hank for this scientist guy, meaning that Doc is losing the scientist. He's like, oh, well, I guess I don't get my bounty, and now I have to deploy Hank to save your asses. Thanks, guys. You're my two top operatives. Thank you. And then in regards to this Crossroad incident, I don't know exactly what this is referring to, but I think it has to do with the kind of, what is it, like, lines of convergence, or like lines of something or other are converging in Madness 12. Actually, let's just go and fucking pull up Madness 12. Yes, current lines are converging. I think that this has something to do with that. Revenant protocol, I'm assuming, is just the protocol that Doc uses to revive Hank. A Revenant is somebody who died and came back. I think that's pretty clear cut. I don't think I need to explain that any further. G2 Hank, G2 Generation 2. If you don't know what the generations are, go watch my Project Nexus lore video. Hank is very heavily, this is like the third instance of G2 Hank I think we've seen in the cartoons. Hank is pretty decidedly a Generation 2. I don't think he's a Generation 1 or anything crazy like that. And then we go all the way over here. Also, I do find it interesting that the pirates are, I want to say they just kind of like rubbed their hands all over like the blood on the ground. I don't think these guys have ever seen blood before. Like, I don't think they've seen like the violence that we're used to in the Madness cartoons. So when they see blood, they like put their hands on it because they don't understand. and then they start kind of like touching this machine, maybe because they also don't understand it, or maybe they're drawn to it in some way. They have an interesting relationship with this machine. I unfortunately don't really know what that is. But hey, if I come up with any ideas or somebody makes a really good point, I will most definitely bring it up in the comments or something, or in part 3 of my lore video, whenever the hell I get around to making that. I know you guys have been asking for it, and I'll make it one day. Probably sometime eventually, because this cartoon is out and I was kind of waiting for it to come out before I made it. So now I don't have an excuse. Or maybe I'll just say, like, oh, I'm waiting for Dead Jeb, and then, put it off for another fucking year. Who fucking knows? But anyway. Yeah, third party detected. I want to look at this monitor. Acknowledge CMD purge tank. So this agent tries to purge the machine, but gets fucking splattered on the wall, and these guys are scared out of their minds. And then there's this scene. So basically what I think happened here is Hank got swapped out with the scientist. He opened up the mag chamber, which evidently didn't magnify anybody. If anything, I think this thing acts more like a gateway. But anyway, Hank basically got teleported into this thing. He opens it up, obliterated everybody in this room, opened up this vent and crawled through it. And overall, I think that the vent here is very indicative of Hank, because as we learn in Project Nexus, Hank is, he has an affinity for vents. He likes crawling through vents. And here, who else have we seen crawl through vents? We don't know who this is, but I do think a version of Hank was reincarnated here, and this freshly revived Hank, he crawls out of this mag chamber, he escapes through the vent, and I think the sequence of events that happens after it is he goes and he finds Doc. They have a little meeting about destroying Project Nexus and busting Sanford and Demos out of jail. If you remember the cutscene, or rather one of the flashbacks in Project Nexus, where Jeb, Doc, and Hank are kind of having the meeting around the table. Doc is like, yeah, I need you to bust my guys out of jail. And I think that happens, like, immediately after this. And I think the Hank we see at that meeting is the same Hank that crawled out of this little mag chamber. Maybe he wasn't wearing his ninja outfit at the time. I don't know exactly what he looked like or which specific Hank fragment was revived here. All I know is that there was definitely a Hank revival here. So after that, Hank gets his rocket launcher. He locates Sanford and Demos. He blows open the agency wall. He rescues them. The events of Madness Project Nexus happen. Like, if I were to go back and do, like, part 2 of my lore video, I would slot this cartoon right before Project Nexus starts. Which, maybe I should have waited for it before I made that. Oh, well. But yeah, a little bit of retcons. That's the beautiful part of Madness, is that it's all fucking retcons all the way through. So this is the shit you have to do whenever a new cartoon comes out. Alright, let's go back and look at everything we talked about. And like, is it still true? Yeah, I guess. Okay. But anyway. That's my big overarching theory for this cartoon, and where it kind of slots into place in terms of the timeline. I think some people are going to be upset with how simple it is. And also, yes, the poster. I almost forgot to talk about the really important poster. Oh yeah, we have this on 4K, so it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. This room. Hank's presence persists through the current like a thread. Stay vigilant. I think of this ties into one of the other wanted posters in this facility. Depicts Antipathy Hank, Hank with the big old metal jaw, the kind of rounded circular glasses, the exposed teeth. Hank from Madness Combat 6. And a lot of people are going to see that poster and be like, well, this is obvious proof that this cartoon takes place in or around Madness Combat 6, so there's no way it can be a prequel to Nexus Classic because of that poster of Hank. And to you I say, excuse me, I burped. Yeah, that's what I have to say to you. I burped. No. To you I say, That's a very reasonable conclusion, and I understand why you came to it. But that being said, I disagree. Why do I disagree? How do I explain the antipathy Hank on the poster? Well, I explain it with this poster. This poster basically states that Hank is a non-linear entity, that he exists kind of all throughout time. And I think that these posters, because like as we've noticed throughout all the Madness Combat cartoons, the posters just kind of all magically update with like Hank's current appearance, and it's never explained or really even addressed. I think that there's no reason to believe that like if there's not like a primary Hank running around, that the posters could just kind of depict anything, because like remember that Doc's computer said like set primary Hank. I think that there wasn't a Hank at this time. Like Hank was still dead after Madness 4, and Doc bought a Hank back. So he set that as the primary Hank. So the poster on the wall, like before Hank gets revived, is just kind of like a default version of Hank. And one could assume that the default Hank is potentially Antipathy Hank, or it could just be any old Hank. Any Hank could have been on that poster, and it wouldn't really have mattered. But this also kind of goes to say that, like, yeah, I basically mean to say, I was getting ahead of myself, is just saying that, like, I think that this poster explains the other poster. That poster can depict any version of Hank, because Hank just kind of exists throughout all of time. I'm not necessarily saying there's any, like, time travel nonsense going on here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's my big theories out of the way. Now what we're gonna do is, like, I'm gonna cut this video up and then, like, segue into, like, a voice chat with me and Hardway Jones, where we're gonna talk about it together, because I'm sure he's got some theories and he's got some things he wants to say. If you remember Hardway, he was in part 2 of my lore video, and he's also a fellow lore enthusiast, and we're gonna talk about it. Alright.
Hello, Zep.
Hello. For all of you watching, Hardway, he did a little bit of voiceover for my previous lore video, the Project Nexus one. He talked about Dr. Gon and the Cyber Bandits and all that. He's a fellow lore enthusiast, and he's got some really strong and really good theories, and I'm excited to hear his input on this particular cartoon, because this one has definitely thrown some people for a loop.
Absolutely, the lore is loring in this cartoon right off the bat. So let's just get right into it, shall we?
Yeah. I think this one is deceptively simple. Honestly, I think this is one of the most clear-cut cartoons we've had in a while.
Well, in a way it is, but I also think that it might, by being so clear-cut, it presents some problems. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll start with just this initial screen. Crinkles has started chucking these at the start of most of his animations now, just to sort of establish the cosmic implications of whatever you're about to see.
Mm-hmm.
I
remember you were really clued into, like, the chart we got in Madness 12, like the map. Like you guessed it almost perfectly according to Crinkles himself. So what do you make of this little map here in front of us?
Well, it's interesting because I remember that from that map in Madness 12, all of those little fractures in the sort of the improbable, I deduced that they were employer realms, and Crinkle's pretty much confirmed that. But the little sort of ring thing that was just off Nevada in that map was sort of resembled this ring that you're seeing right now, and that was supposed to be the keystone fragment in the. So what we're seeing here is, I don't know. I think it might be like a machine part.
It could be
because it's yeah. What
well,
are your thoughts?
My theory about I don't know what this chart means either. It's a bunch of circles and lines to me. I'm going to be honest with you. But in terms of dissonant occurrence detected, I think that's referring to Scrape Face, like exploding the building in the first one.
100%. No, I agree with that. And so when it says, give it a second here. There we go. Retaliation probe he's misspelt it as he always does. It's
Yeah.
classic Crinkle
He
spelling.
also
But
misspelled Revenant later in the cartoon.
oh, fantastic! Yeah, great to hear. But yeah, retaliation probe detected. So it looks as though does this imply that the machine is retaliating to the dissonance? It's sort of trying to fix it somehow, or what do you
Yeah.
think?
Um, it could be. I mean, we do see Sanford and Demos investigating this, so maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe they're the probe. There a lot of like vague terminology gets used referring to like Sanford and Demos for some reason. Like I think it was in
Mm.
Dissenter they get called like the away team or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it could be referring to them.
Could be that, yeah. Alrighty, but so this stuff is always obscure, but once we get into the actual animation itself, this is where things start to get really, really
Yeah.
interesting.
So I already talked about the middle finger selfie that Sanford gives
Mm-hmm.
here in the connection to Nexus Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the big reveal for that part there was the fact that it seems to be placing Experiment 2 before Project Nexus Classic, but I'll also draw your attention just to the building
Yeah,
briefly.
yeah.
At the end of Experiment 1, you see the car from Madness Combat 9
Mm-hmm.
sitting just outside the building there, and Crinkle said on a few occasions that that's the car that they then jump into before
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
off to
And
Madness
that's
Combat
a
9.
that's a big reason why we placed it like where we did back in the day, like
Mm.
somewhere around there because of that car. And I am noticing that car is absent in this cartoon.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Just gone. So I wonder if so it's possible that this is replacing the where experiment is in the timeline.
Yeah.
But from like a strictly I guess continuity perspective is are we to believe that because something's going wrong with the machine based off what Scrapeface did that things are starting to mess with the timeline a bit or what do you
Yeah.
think?
I do think it's possible that like the experiments being conducted here are like causing time to kind of like collapse a little bit and like things start to get a little muddy. One of my friends who I was kind of like casually talking about it with, he guessed that maybe this takes place like closer to the edge of Nevada, so things get really screwy out here. Which I think there
Yeah,
might be some
yeah.
credence to that.
Yeah, most definitely. And then obviously, yeah, on the PDA, on Sanford's PDA, it says that they're after the mag chamber, which appears later in the
Yeah,
animation.
it also
So,
uses the word improv fracture, which I'm also assuming refers to Scrapeface exploding, you know,
yeah, most
the ending
definitely, most
of the first
definitely.
cartoon.
Alrighty. So now, right here. So this scientist is carrying the PDA that Deimos later possesses in the Deadmos adventure.
Oh, interesting. I didn't come to that conclusion. Do you
Yeah,
think it's a
so
reused asset, or if there's a direct connection
it's
there?
well, it's possible, but it explicitly shows Deimos later in the animation, like grabbing it off this scientist and pocketing it. But
Mm.
what's really weird about it, and you'll notice this, is that I'm just going to skip ahead a little here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the sprite has actually changed by the time this scientist reaches the top of the elevator.
Uh huh.
Uh, so
So,
you see, it's actually a different it's a different sprite.
that's a little bit of a continuity error there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But yeah, then Deimos goes ahead and chucks that in his pocket, and yeah, in Deadmos, that will make another appearance when he's
Yeah.
in the sort of Nexus port or the
Um,
exit port.
I'm definitely curious of your opinions on the pirates, because honestly, I got no strong ideas for these guys or like what they're doing
Well,
here.
I mean the joke that everyone's, I mean I assume it's a joke that everyone's saying is that you know piracy.fla is now canon.
Yeah.
But I don't know
I
if I'd
don't.
go that far.
I don't think anybody is attempting to canonize that particular cartoon. But if you really wanted to, I suppose you could do it.
Yeah. But just based off, I guess their behavior, it looks like they're sort of doing straight face stuff in the sort
Yeah,
of erratic,
I
you know.
did connect that they are very similar to Scrapeface. Scrapeface had like the screwy physics. He was very floaty, and also later in what I call the jam sandwich room, which we just saw for
Mm-hmm.
a second there,
Yeah.
one of them kind of like pokes their head through the door, and he starts like glitching out, which is a very
Yeah.
similar glitch effect to like Scrapeface. So
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
theory for these guys is that I think they're successful versions of whatever they were doing to Scrapeface.
Oh
Whatever
yeah, almost
success
certainly.
would look like, even.
Uh, do you think that they perhaps have more power than they sort of let on in this
Yeah,
animation?
I think something about them, I don't have any strong ideas, but like you notice these guys are very meek. They're kind of cowardly.
Mm.
When the
Mm-hmm.
bullets start flying, they hit the ground, they cover their head, they start shaking, they're really scared, they don't fight. And that's
Mm-hmm.
very uncharacteristic for characters in Madness. Because in
Yeah,
Madness,
definitely.
whenever the guns start, getting shot, people are fighting. There's blood everywhere. People start participating, but these guys want
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that leads me to a small theory that I have that I think, because we know that in Madness Combat 1 there was kind of an existential event, the Great Awakening. Everybody became self-aware, like the madness
Mm-hmm.
was introduced into the world, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I think these guys are exempt from it somehow, like they're not affected
Oh,
by that.
right. Exempt from the madness. The
Yeah.
so they. Oh, so what you're sort of saying is that that's why they've maybe got all this cardboard and stuff
Yeah,
around, is
they're
because they're
living in
still.
this fake little cardboard world, and like you can't see it very well, but like the cardboard window, like to the far right of the screen, it depicts
Yeah,
like a
yeah. Hang on.
house and like a tree, and like also like a
Oh,
little
there we go.
happy sun with a smiley face.
Oh yeah, the little tree. Oh, and
Yeah,
is that a boombox
yeah.
actually that I
There's a
see next to?
grunt standing in front of a tree and dancing, which, as we know from Project Nexus, this is gonna sound like a joke, but it's not. It's like a tradition for the Madness characters. Like
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah, that's like a long-standing traditional like custom that they do, which is dancing with a boombox in front of a tree.
Yeah, it was like that poster by well, we assume that it's Jeb, but he's basically saying we need to return to a
Yeah,
tradition rooted in
reject
standing.
modernity and embrace
Reject
tradition.
modernity, embrace tradition, and tradition is standing near a tree with a boombox.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Yeah, so I think that's a great theory that these guys are sort of still asleep.
yeah.
But it still doesn't quite explain what's going on with their
The
mouths, I
mouth, yeah,
guess.
the mouth is an anomaly. I don't have
Hmm.
any strong ideas for like why that's a thing.
I think someone in the Project Nexus Discord before was speculating that and this is really out there, but that because Doc's got the face mask, he might
Oh
have been like
yeah, he might be a
a s-
pirate. Yeah,
yeah, because he's former AHW as well, according to Project Nexus.
yeah.
So this could have been the lab he was made in. But anyway,
Um,
we won't get
it
too.
could also be maybe they're evolving? Question mark.
Yeah, possibly, possibly. Also, one more thing of note in this room, I think, is that little poster right at the back there.
Yeah,
It says, "Have you known it is always a good day for 3 sodas?"
yeah.
And obviously, the analogy used throughout Project Nexus to describe the world of Nevada and the other place are 2 soda cans, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's sort of interesting that,
That there's three
yeah,
soda cans there. It's like, what are you trying to say? Is there a third dimension that we have to worry about
yeah,
now, or what's up with that?
y- yeah, exactly.
That feels like
Love the.
Swain being a little funny because like he is like kind of like ghost co-writing these episodes now.
Oh,
Um,
right, yeah,
yeah. So we can actually see the full poster there. It is always a good day for
yeah.
three cans.
3 cans, love
Yeah.
that. Um, because we also, as we understand it, the nowhere is distinct from the other place. So it's, and if these pirates have a sort of the way they're viewing the world is through a lens of like early madness, it's like it might
Hmm.
be there might be some connection there,
The world
I'm not sure
before
what it could
Hank.
be. Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to quickly draw. I'm sure that you've touched on this already, but I want to draw your attention to this poster, which threw everybody for a loop.
Yeah, yeah. I did talk about the Hank poster.
Yeah, so MC6 Hank is in this poster, which and Crinkles, what did he say? That he reckons that this is how the agents remember
Yeah,
Hank. So they put the poster up, which implies that MC6 has happened
yeah.
already.
Or this is the active Hank. This is the most recent Hank. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
What theory did you ultimately
Um,
conclude from that?
there's another poster in one of these rooms that says like Hank is a consistent thread across the occurrent or something like that.
Hmm.
It's in one of the other contraption rooms. That's what these
Yeah.
two rooms have in common: the jam sandwich room and like the fucking doohickey room, whatever the hell that thing is. They both have a
Yep, yep.
poster related to Hank in them. Um,
Right, right.
I think that basically that poster introduces the idea that Hank kind of exists as a constant throughout time, and that
Hmm.
these posters can just kind of pull his appearance from anywhere. Because as we've seen
Sure.
throughout the Madness cartoons, Hank, like the posters, the wanted posters, just kind of inexplicably change whenever Hank does,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
like there's
Hmm.
no reason for that. That it's never explained, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the posters just kind of inexplicably having a Madness 6 Hank on it says to me that there is no active Hank at this moment, because I think because this would take place after Madness 4, if you agree that like
Hmm.
Project Nexus goes between Madness 4 and 5, Hank would be
Hmm.
dead at this point in the timeline because he blew himself up in Madness 4, so it's just
Hmm.
defaulting to like a default Hank, and that happens to be
Yeah,
Madness 6 Hank.
well, this is the big question that I think has been raised by Experiment 2 because, like we established at the start of the cartoon, the supposedly what everybody thought before this cartoon came out was that this would be where Sanford and Deimos would get into that car and go and pick up Hank post MC7 uh, death at the hands of Jeb. Uh, so, uh, but what's I guess throwing everybody off now that this cartoon is out is if this take indeed takes place before Project Nexus Classic, then it must take place between Madness Combat 4 and Madness Combat 5. Now, the problem there is that if this takes place between Madness Combat 4 and Madness Combat 5, uh, then as sort of as you
Yeah,
um, as we
how is that Hank there?
how is that Hank there? Not only that, how is in the continuity of the cartoons, like we assume that Experiment 1 takes place after 7.5, which is why they go and then get that car that you see in Experiment 1
Mm-hmm.
and drive to where Hank is at in Madness Combat 9. So I suppose the question it raises is does uh, Project Nexus Classic in fact take place between 4 and 5 still, or is something weird being suggested by this cartoon, perhaps implying that it takes place later in the timeline than we thought?
Mm-hmm. If people want to use it as evidence to say like this is proof that Project Nexus does not take place between 4 and 5, to each their own. You know, like hey, I'm happy that there's fuel for the I guess
Mm.
opposing opinion, but in my personal opinion, my kind of theory that I've held on to for all these years of like Project Nexus being between Madness 4 and 5, I'm not
Hmm.
letting go of it. This cartoon has not
Fair enough.
changed my opinion on that regard. And I
Oh, and
joked
it's
earlier in the video, like, one of these days they're going to officially post the Madness timeline. Like, this is the definitive Madness timeline. And it's
mhm.
going to be completely wrong, and I'll fuck off and go walk into the ocean or something.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, look, absolutely. Like, it's I think that there's definitely a lot. It makes a lot more sense, really, for it to
Yeah.
be between 4 and 5, just in terms of like where Tricky's at and everything that's going on
Where
there.
Jeb's at,
Um,
where Hank's
where
at.
Jeb's at,
Yeah.
where Hank's at, exactly. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But then again, it makes less sense now because of this animation. But
Yeah.
I suppose that's the beauty of these cartoons. I just want to also just point out that there's like the geometry of this building is just, well,
Nonsense.
like
Yeah,
it's nonsense, right?
yeah.
Which is
Like
to me indicates that,
this
yeah,
stack of platforms somehow becomes like a chute that they can go up and get to this
yeah,
raised platform, and we just kind of accept that. We don't question it. And it just comes out of
and
an
it cut
inexplicable hole in the ceiling.
hole in the ceiling. Yeah, it's like it's sort of other place type geometry, which
Yeah.
I think speaks to
I I
the
do kind
impact.
of headcanon that agency bases kind of operate on a bit of like a non-Euclidean geometry rules,
Mm,
because the engineers that made them are like connected to the auditor, so they're kind of clued into how the machine works a little bit more, so they can
yeah.
do crazy Doctor Who stuff like that.
Yeah, there's that poster that you
Yeah,
pointed out. Hank's presence persists through the occurrent like a thread. Stay vigilant.
yeah,
So Hank is like gravity. He's like
yeah.
a sort of a
He's a
constant
constant.
rather
Yeah,
than a yeah. Um, but just to your point about agency bases, I think that sort of as we were shown in Madness Combat 9.5, the Auditor effectively, it seems, just keeps buildings full of agents in the other place as like storage,
yeah,
more or less. Like he seems to just retain them, pardon the pun, uh, in the other place for when he needs them. And when I think Tricky hijacks the or doesn't hijack, but through the improbability drive, you sort of see some of that in Madness Combat 7 when those buildings manifest from seemingly nowhere
yeah,
and agents start pouring out of them. And then Hank goes into those buildings and sees agents pinned to the wall, presumably by a retainer, which only exists in the other place. So it's like Tricky has summoned these buildings from the other place, from
yeah.
the Auditor's store of agents, of armies.
Yeah, and there's a lot of examples of just non-Euclidean geometry. Also, I love Sanford just trying to figure out what the fuck this thing is, and he's like, "I don't get it, man."
Sanford's great through this. I love
Yeah,
the I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but so I probably won't. Oh, yeah, just here. I love the little
yeah.
look he
The
gives
eyebrow,
to.
just like, what the
He's
fuck
like,
is
what
this?
is what the fuck is this?
Hey, listen, man. I've seen
Anyway.
some weird shit in my day, but this takes the cake.
It was really good to see. You saw the ad for the new plushies. It was good to see
Yeah, yeah. The way
Johnny
that,
Utah and
yeah,
yeah,
the voice acting
hands get
was great, and also it's good to kind of get some
absolutely.
insight into how Sanford and Demos think about Hank.
Hmm. Now, this is the next,
Yeah,
I
what do you
suppose.
what do you think about this guy?
Oh, well, it's it's reminding me of someone, Zep. It sure does
Yeah,
remind me of someone.
it is a bit
Um,
half Maggie the way he punches.
mm, mm. Um, I do think it's hilarious that just right off the bat that this is like a massive nerd who has just
Yeah,
augmented himself to try and be a machine, and he still gets his ass handed to him. Um, that being said,
yeah, he landed a
yeah,
solid blow on Demos, and that's more than a
he
lot of people
did.
can say.
And Demos was pissed off to say the very least.
Yeah,
As we'll see very shortly. Also, Brepsy Cola,
yeah,
fantastic.
fantastic. Almost as good
So
as Sprunk from GTA.
almost as good as yeah, exactly. So Deimos gets even, and this guy is still alive against all odds.
He
There
puts
we
his
go.
glasses
He
back
can see
on.
again. It's important to wear your glasses, otherwise he might hurt his eyes.
But
Alrighty,
yeah,
and then
you got any major theories about this guy, or are you just kind of waiting for the moment to present itself?
well, I'll wait until yeah, here we go. This is the bit that
Yeah,
sort of has raised yet more questions. So this is the magnification chamber that they were sent in to get,
yeah,
and Doc also noted that there was like a high priority, what was it, a high priority target to that they'll know it when they see it sort of thing, and that's obviously this half mag scientist that sand has just thrown into the
Hmm.
chamber there. Um, I wish I could. There's no real. Yeah, doesn't let me zoom in. Oh,
No. Yeah, the text is difficult to read, but I
yeah.
did go through the text. If you go to the Newgrounds version, you can watch it in 4K, and it's a lot easier to read the text on under that
Mm,
quality.
yeah, yeah. But what was? Do you remember what the text was saying roughly? Like, it's something about
Um,
binding and weaving.
yeah, like command swap. Now it says like third party detected. It says that after this soldat shows up, but like before this soldat shows up, the text is different. But it says something like
Hmm.
Sanford inputs a command like it says swap. The word swap actually shows up twice in this cartoon. It shows up on that terminal when
Right.
Sanford is typing into it, and it shows up on Doc's computer later in the cartoon. Um,
Sure, sure.
and
Yeah. So here we go.
yeah,
It's what? Oh,
CMD.
I just knocked. I just
Oop,
CMD RESSR. Oh, sorry, I just knocked my screen.
yeah,
Uh, s- RESSRC and then in brackets swap. Yeah. So like
yeah,
resurrection or resurrect. C could be character
yeah,
or because like and then activated and then I can't see what the rest says.
yeah.
Locate
No,
locating.
even under 4K, yeah, I think it says locating like underneath that, and then the rest of it there's too much blood to really make out what it says.
Yeah. It's
But
like yeah.
generally, what I think is that this is a command to swap out the current occupant with another one.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I tend to agree, and I also think it's interesting that Sanford is doing the hacking.
yeah,
That's sort of a
yeah.
an unusual
That's
kind
kind of
of
uncharacteristic of Sanford. I mean, Demos was busy, so maybe he's been taking some programming classes to cover for each other's strengths and weaknesses.
oh, 100%, 100%. And also Deimos is concussed currently, so
Yeah,
maybe he's compromised. Um do love the little poster of
yeah,
the agent and the scientist shaking hands. It's very
yeah.
very
It
wholesome.
seems the AHW takes better care of their scientists than the Nexus Corps does.
Oh, absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
I
In
do
fact,
I do headcanon that the Nexus Corps that like after Jeb kind of betrayed them, like the scientists basically became like second class citizens in the science tower. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
get very mistreated by the agents and stuff because
Yeah,
of
it
there's like a negative stigma against them now.
sort of falls into a
Yeah.
sort of police state
Yeah.
type situation. Might is right, etc.
Yeah. I
Uh,
find that Soldat's death interesting because I mean it could be taken any way, but like he almost seemed afraid before he died, which is very uncharacteristic for an agency soldier to do.
yeah. Oh, so okay, so we have this
A pirate
it
there,
seems
yeah.
a pirate, yeah, it seems that they're sort of just all throughout the facility. I
Yeah.
wonder if maybe this
Well, I
they've
think
breached
after,
containment
yeah,
or
I think there was definitely like a containment breach after Sanford and Demos shot up the place. And they're just
mm,
kind of running around now. I think it's the same like group of three of them though. Like I think that pirate there was a part of the group of three pirates in the first room.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Idiots.
yeah. Also,
Captured.
I
Uh
want to bring attention to the
now,
sticky notes on
yeah,
that.
please.
It says cycle 1, cycle 2, and cycle 3. Earlier in the
Mm-hmm.
cartoon, there was a poster that said this cycle seems very promising, and it was like a grunt raising his hands up, kind of like in celebration. I don't know what that
Oh,
means or what that connection is, but there's two mentions of cycles in this cartoon, and I just happen to
hmm.
take note of it.
Does it say cycle 3 or does it say cycle M? Is that what I'm
I don't know. I think it's meant to be a Roman numeral, but it's very sloppily written, so I can't quite tell what it is.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, cycles, that's an interesting. Well, because we've noticed, okay, again, just sorry, just going back right back to the beginning.
Yeah,
Um, this appeared in Madness Combat 12 uh and here and it's I think it was alluded to in um wasn't it alluded to in no, it was just 12 in here so far, I think.
yeah, yeah.
But the idea of like occurrent lines, these
Mm-hmm.
sort of rotating these things that rotate around a sort of like a story, or like a point in the middle which might represent a story or an episode. Because if we remember from Project Nexus, uh, the maker's dialogue about how every story is a cog in the machine, right? Every hero, every villain, and these things in an abstract way look like big cogwheels sort of
Yeah.
turning in a cyclical way.
Hmm.
So, or cyclical way, I suppose. So, yeah. But anyway, the pair of the dream team get captured,
Yeah.
setting us up for Madness Project Nexus Classic, and yeah, we get this shot of Doc's room, which we saw in 9.5 Part 2,
Yeah.
uh, which with the poster that says "Check your six." I love that he's got a little calendar with an
Yeah.
inspirational quote.
With
That's just
nonsense days on it. It goes from like 4 to 11 to 12 to 13 to 14. Like it just skips like by multiples of 10. And there's also
just
45 days in a
hmm
month. It's
just
pure nonsense.
hilarious.
And also look at
Yeah,
that
like
keyboard. What the fuck is that keyboard?
who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? That's what? That's two numpads and a big
Yeah.
and no mouse. He doesn't have a mouse. We see even more of those cogwheels on the screen there, saying "Crossroad incident detected,"
If you
which
allow the video to play a little more, it does zoom in very close to that monitor and you can read it very closely. So in case
oh
you have
great,
trouble reading it.
sure. Just before we do that,
Yeah.
I'll draw attention to the little um Hank political compass on
Yeah.
the the table there. You've got four corners, like an axis on each. HANK, insolvent, useless. Um, and it
I
looks
wonder.
as if it's yeah. Go ahead.
No, I wonder if this is him just like talking about different Hank incarnations.
Mm, yeah. Is there like an implication here that like Hank is like some sort of anagram?
It could be, I guess. But for what though?
Is it? Yeah. Um, I have no idea. Also,
Cog.
the fact that the fact that there's also like the cross axis and it sort of makes a grunt face is
Yeah.
really interesting because we see that symbolism all throughout um the series. Did we ever figure out what this binary is meant to represent? I just whacked it into Google and it's
Mm.
telling me that 9, 10, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20 are the decimal numbers. They're 5-bit binary numbers, I guess. I don't even know if that's a real thing because I think it's AI or whatever. So
Yeah.
it could just be bullshitting me, but who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I have no idea what. Maybe it's just nonsense. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, it was worth looking into either way.
yeah, 100%. And here we go. Oh, we get a better look at the sticky note there.
Yeah.
Only check primes. Stop counting grains.
Grains. Yeah.
Grains. I have no idea what that means.
My theory is
Primes
that
and
Doc is a vampire, so if you were to spill a bag of grain in front of him, he must count all of them.
oh, I see. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
it makes sense. He's got the face mask to cover his big
Yeah.
vampire teeth, you know. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. We might have to look further into that. What could be meant by primes? Obviously, when I see prime, my first thought is prime code, right? But that's
Yeah.
um, I don't know if that's meant in the same way. Is it meant by prime numbers?
I do
Like
think there is prime code on our screen, or rather on Doc's screen. Like, I think all that text underneath, like the actual text there, I do think all of that is prime code.
yeah, I quite agree. So yeah, a current search. So he seems to be looking for. Well, this is the thing. Are we? Oh,
Well, yeah,
cuts very.
it is
Go ahead.
interesting that it says a current search because, like, we've been assuming that whatever Hank gets put in the mag chamber and comes out and goes through the vent. Spoiler alert, by the way, even though I talked about it already earlier in the video, so not actually a spoiler. Um, we were assuming that Hank was pulled from the other place, but Doc is searching the current for a Hank. So, did he really
Mm.
revive a Hank, or did he just displace a Hank?
Yeah, and that it also goes back to whether or not that mag being put in the chamber is some sort of weird splicing between what would eventually be Mag Hank and the Hank that gets pulled out of the other place in 9.5. Yeah, all very very unusual. And then we've got something that we saw both in 9.5 and in
Man is 12, I
I don't know
believe.
if yeah, and in 12, which is lane divergence
Mm-hmm.
detected. So in 9.5 it says no, I think in 9.5 it says something about incongruent. uh I forget what it says in 9.5, but yeah, it says
Yeah,
character divergence.
no, I was
Character
talking about it
divergence.
earlier, like lines of convergence, or like a current
Yeah.
lines converging.
Yeah. And then just further confirmation, in case anybody wants to debate it, that
Yeah,
G2 Hank
I know.
set primary.
I was a Generation 1 Hank truther. Rest in peace, Generation 1 Hank
Rest in
theory.
peace. We hardly knew you.
Yeah.
And then obviously Revenant Protocol,
Yeah.
which seems to be, you know,
Yeah,
um,
I was assuming because of the word revenant being used, because a revenant refers to somebody who's died and come back to life. I
yeah,
was assuming that it was reviving Hank, but what if it was just locating a Hank who is a revenant? He's always a revenant because
yeah,
he dies and comes
exactly.
back. So yeah, I think I've actually changed my opinion from what I was talking about earlier in the video. I don't think Doc revived a Hank. I think he just got one, like in Nevada, and just moved it over here.
Yeah, yeah. So just, and this is really the thing that everybody's wondering, right?
Yeah.
This is the supposed big reveal at the end of the animation, is the chamber opens and the vent is left swinging open, and
Yeah.
all of the agents get killed. So the implication is that a Hank came out of the chamber,
Mm-hmm.
killed everyone in the room, and aside from the pirates,
Yeah.
and then jumped into the chamber there, and into the vent there. And the thing is the vent. If you look at the size of it, do you think a
I
mag could
I don't
fit?
think a mag went in there. No, not
No.
without great
So
difficulty.
yeah. So it it looks like it
A
seems
normal sized tank came out of that chamber.
yeah, which begs the question, I guess, which Hank came
Yeah.
out of that chamber, and what became of uh, the doctor that was put in there to begin with. Um, is that did he end up being put into Mag Hank in MC9?
Um,
And
in terms of the
yeah,
doctor with his funky looking arm, I do think Doc wanted him because he was definitely interested in the arm.
mm,
And I think he's been interested in giving Hank something like that for a while, which ended up kind of happening by accident or
mm-hmm,
maybe on
mm-hmm,
purpose in 9.5. It's kind of hard to tell if that was accidental or purposeful or not.
mm,
But I don't know. Maybe Doc wanted to find a way to bind an arm like that to somebody.
mm. Well, it's interesting because Doc uses the crab claw to navigate. We think he uses the crab claw to sort of navigate uh, the other place in Deadmos, like to when he's trying to put Deimos back on track. He uses the crab claw, doesn't he? Is
Yeah.
that so? And then the crab claw ends up being the thing that nabs Hank in 9.5, and a bit of it comes off when the coinflip.exe brings Hank out of the other place and into the mag chamber, which I always thought was why Hank ended up having that big arm, is because
because a piece of it got taken with him when he got put in the mag chamber, and it kind of got fused to his body.
Yeah, but now we see something that very closely mirrors what would eventually become Mag Hank being chucked into this chamber and then disappearing, seemingly replaced with a. Wait a second, hang on. Okay, I just need to double check something really quickly as well. Oh, that's interesting.
What's up?
Look at the vent here.
It's intact.
It's intact and it's clean.
Yeah, there's no blood on it.
No yellow blood specifically.
Yeah.
So, yes, yeah, still clean here. Engineer comes in, Soldat comes in. Okay, so I'm just going to take note of the so agent, Soldat.
Yeah.
And
the only red-blooded individual here is the agent.
Yeah. So and there's a Soldat and an Engie. So let's just watch what happens.
And we do see the agent die. He gets his head splattered against this wall here by a baton.
Yep, we see a splash of yellow there. Oh, the Soldat wasn't dead. That's the Soldat, right? The Soldat got killed?
Yeah. And the engineer behind him is ripped in half.
Right. Oh, I see. So the implication there is that Hank was just, I guess, covered in it?
Yeah. And when he slithered into the vent, he smeared a bunch of yellow blood on the wall there.
Sure. Right, that makes sense. I thought because Doc does have that Soldat in the in his room.
Yeah.
In 9.5 that he's experimenting on, and I wondered if
the
Hank had maybe dragged him
there of mysterious purpose that nobody really knows exactly why he's there.
Yeah, just I guess Doc's just a bit of a freak,
a bit of a psychopath. But I mean, being a psychopath is basically the neurotypical of madness. So if anything, he's 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a great animation. I really enjoyed it. What did you have any favorite parts that you?
I think the jam sandwich room is my favorite overall of the agents.
Jam sandwich room.
Yeah, just getting crushed by layers and layers of platform.
just too much elevator, not enough time.
Yeah. I especially love that flattened agent there.
Yep. Just and the hits just keep coming. There we go. Beautiful. Oh, even more. I love how that last group didn't even get a chance to
to do anything. I mean, they were going to die horribly anyway, but at least they would have had a chance to fight.
Yeah. This cycle shows tremendous promise.
Yeah, that's the poster I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think that's more or less all I've got for the moment.
Yeah.
I can't think of, but the questions it raises for me are if this takes place between 4 and 5, then what became of that car, and which Hank came out of this chamber? But like, is it if the Hank that came out of this chamber was the Hank that would go on to do the events of Madness Project Nexus and bust these guys out of containment, is that your theory? That's that.
Yeah, I do think that the Hank that would become Project Nexus Hank did come out of there, and I have kind of an overarching theory that I think Project Nexus Hank and Consternation Hank, Consternation being Madness 7, I think they're the same incarnation, just at different points in time.
Yeah.
Evidenced by the fact that they look the same. They both wear the ninja outfit. Obviously, Nexus Hank's outfit is a little more detailed, but it's the same, overall principle. And I guess a point of evidence to that is like, if you remember in Consternation, after Hank gets golf balled by Torture and he gets flung,
Hmm.
he kind of lands where an agent and a couple grunts are doing some training, and he
Hmm.
just kind of Kali Ma like rips out one of the grunt's heart just for like no reason. Like he has no reason to do that.
Yeah.
So that particular incarnation of Hank is kind of known for like brutalizing enemies and like getting his hands in them and just kind of ripping chunks out. And that's in line
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
how the agents at the end of the cartoon died, because, or at the very least the engineer, because he got ripped in half and he was like missing chunks of his skull. So maybe Hank could just
Yeah.
outright
100%.
rip that guy in half.
Definitely. And yeah, uh, are we leaning toward thinking that this animation actually doesn't take place after 7.5 like we initially thought? Does that
No,
seem?
I think it's absolutely certain that this is not between Madness 7.5 or like a prequel to Madness 9. I think it is definitive that this is a precursor story to the first level of Project Nexus Classic.
Hmm. Hmm. Which then, I guess, so it sort of begs the question as to again, why was the car out the front?
Yeah.
And I think you and I are going to have to lean on poor old Mr. Jolly in the coming weeks
Yeah.
to sort of to get an
Oh,
answer out of
he's
him as
the
to
the next stream is just gonna be nonstop lore questions and like explain yourself, Mr. Crinkles.
yeah, where did the car go,
Yeah.
and
Why do you enjoy
I,
hurting me?
why do you enjoy hurting us? Exactly. But look, that's pretty much all I've got for now, man.
Yeah.
If there's anything else I can
No,
contribute
I
to
think
your video.
we've covered all the bases here. I appreciate you sitting down and combing through it and talking about it. You definitely had some valuable insight. You picked up on some stuff that I would have missed. So it's super valuable to have it in the video. I think there's going to be a lot of really productive discussion about this particular cartoon. I look
Hmm.
forward to seeing the comments people leave, because there's always some crazy theories out there. A lot of which I disagree with, but I love to see it. I love to see the
Yeah,
theorizing.
100%.
I love to see people engaging, because like a big point of why I make these lore videos and why I talk about the series is because I want people to engage with it. I want to improve
Yeah,
people's media
100%.
literacy. I want you to think critically. I want you to theorize. I want you to have fun. You know?
Yeah, yeah. You're teaching critical thought
Yeah, yeah.
one violent cartoon at a time.
Yeah, I mean, there's stranger things have happened, so
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, look, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm glad I could help. I'm looking forward to seeing the video come
yeah,
out, and yeah, all the theories and speculation that's gonna come as a result.